Chapter 1229. Bang! Lung Yuma can't hold on any longer. Her knees go soft, and she falls to the ground. Luo Yu grabs Mayan's clothes tightly, almost bursting into tears. My God, what did they just say? They actually said that young master isn't a good person? It's over, it's over. They're really going to die this time. Boo-hoo. There's no medicine for regret in this world. They want to eat. They really want to eat. However, there's one person here who's more nervous than the six of them combined. Mine only feels that her back is soaked in cold sweat, especially when Luo Yunxiao turns her gaze to her after saying that, then slowly walks towards her step by step. Mine really wants to break into a run at once. I'm not a good person? The seven people present all shake their heads, desperately shaking their heads. The corner of Luo Yunxiao's mouth hooks up into a gentle smile. I like men. Seeing her smile, the seven people of the Xiaorao sect are really scared to tears. Ling Yuxing boldly says with a trembling voice, Young master, don't blame junior sister. She said that just to help me. Luo Yunxiao chuckles. Jun Mayan, tell me now. Do I like men or women? Mayan's heart is streaming with tears. If she had known earlier, she wouldn't have escaped from Di Mingju's side. Even if she was locked up by Di Mingju for 10 days or half a month, it would still be better than being brutally caught by young master. The night is as cool as water, and the silver moon hangs high in the sky. Under the moonlight, the Yao Guang branch, which looks brand new in the daytime, has been added with a different kind of color. However, the seven people of the Xiaoyao sect don't have the slightest desire to appreciate it. Because at this very moment, each and every one of them is in the abyss of torment. Even Chu Moli, who can't walk, isn't spared. On the huge square, 7 sword arrays have appeared without anyone noticing. In each sword array, there's a person of the Xiaoyao sect who's experiencing the torture of being hacked into pieces. And in the center of the 7 sword arrays, a peerless youth is sitting leisurely. In his hand is a pot of sake, a jade cup, and on the table is a zither. Occasionally, his slender, fair, and well-proportioned fingers gently pluck the strings, making an indescribable sound. Chiwen is jumping around, looking at the miserable appearance of the 7 people, especially excited. Haha, I said you're done. Who gave you the guts to say that Master isn't a good person behind his back? How dare you spread the news that Master likes men? Really, even I, Master Chiwen, don't know this secret. How could you spread it? Only when she jumps in front of Mayan's sword array does Chiwen reveal a distressed expression, crying out, my beautiful Yin Yin, you're so pitiful. I really want to rush in and give you a kiss of love. Inside the sword array, Mayan's hand trembles, almost getting injured by the sword energy. Ao of the sword array. Ao and Ao Tian Mu of the Mu Ling Mu. Tian Yin. Moreover, Mu Yin's swordsmanship has advanced by leaps and bounds under the guidance of junior martial uncle some time ago. Moreover, Mayan's swordsmanship has advanced by leaps and bounds under the tutelage of Little Master. As a result, other people's sword formations only had a dozen or so sword chis. Therefore, other people's sword arrays only have a dozen or 20 sword chis. Chapter 1230. Chiwen leapt back to Luo Yunxiao's side and said in a loud and arrogant voice, You little bastards, if you can't hold on any longer, just open your mouth and beg for mercy. But the rules are the same. Those who don't stick to it will be punished. The few people in the sword formation shuddered and swung their swords even faster. The bright moon gradually turned westward from the middle of the sky. Finally, Luo Yu was the first one who could not hold on any longer. She rolled and crawled out of the sword array. Youngest martial uncle, I was wrong. I'm willing to accept punishment. Luo Yu's cultivation was the lowest among the 7. In addition, he and Lung Yuma were the ones who spoke ill of them behind their backs. Therefore, their sword chi in the sword formation was second only to Mu Yin. Luo Yu had really thought that she would die in the sword array when her spirit energy was depleted. Luo Yunxiao glanced at him and lightly plucked the strings of the zither without saying anything. Luo Yu, on the other hand, felt as if she had been pardoned. She immediately covered her head with her hands and hopped away like a frog. The tinkling of the zither continued. With a loud bang, the second person to escape was Chu Moli. Chu Moli was not as battered as Luo Yu. However, his originally meticulously combed hair was now a complete mess. He didn't bother with his hair and rolled out of the wheelchair in a very professional manner. He rolled out along with the falling rain. Ha ha! Seeing Luo Yu and Chu Mo Li jumping and rolling around like frogs, Siwen rocked back and forth with laughter. This lord loves seeing little brats like this the most. Following that, Yun Ruhan, Lung Yuma, and Qin Jiu were unable to hold on for long. One by one, they scrambled out of the sword formation and joined the army of frogs that were circling around the Yaoguang branch. Chiwen looked at the remaining two and shook her head. I'm not surprised that Little Five can hold on for so long. There isn't much sword chi in his sword formation to begin with, and Xiao has always been known for his speed. Even if he can't block the sword chi, he can still dodge it. Haha, it's a pity that the sword formation that Master has prepared for you has already been calculated. None of you will be able to last until the sword formation runs out of spiritual energy. This is my favorite punishment. None of you will be able to escape. As soon as Chi-Wen finished her words, a figure suddenly dashed out of one of the sword formations. He took a few steps forward before falling to the ground. Look, even Little Five has reached his limit. When Chi-Wen saw Ling Yuxing obediently following behind Yun Ruhan and the others, she laughed with her hands on her hips. But not long after, he saw the moon moving further and further to the west, as if it was gradually disappearing into the horizon. Chi-Wen found it harder and harder to laugh. Master, why isn't Mei Yin out yet? Her sword array has the most sword aura. Even a cultivator at the 5th level of Golden Core stage would not be able to withstand it, let alone Yin Yin, who is only at the initial stage of fasting. Chi-Wen looked at Luo Yunxiao nervously. Master, why don't you close the sword array and let Mei Yin out? Otherwise, what if Mei Yin suffers an irreversible injury? Luo Yunxiao indifferently glanced at it, her face expressionless. If she can't hold on, won't she beg for mercy herself? His expression and tone didn't change, but his fingers on the zither strings became a bit heavier. Chapter 1231. In an instant, it turns into an ear-piercing, demonic sound. Luo Yu and the others, who are frog jumping on the side, stagger and almost fall to the ground. Chi-Wen flies to the front of Mayan's sword array and says loudly, Mei Yin Yin, did you hear that? Why don't you beg for mercy and come out of the sword array? As long as you say some kind words, maybe Master won't punish you? In the sword array, a round of sword energy dissipates. Mayan leans on her sword, supporting her tottering body. Sweat, mixed with blood, drips down from her forehead, blurring her eyes. She vaguely hears Chi-Wen shout. The corners of her mouth curl up, revealing a disdainful and evil smile. Beg for mercy? In this world, there is no one or anything that can make me, Jun Mayan, beg for mercy. The next round of sword energy rises again. The wind whistles, and the murderous intent fills the sky. Mayan's hand holding the long sword feels like it weighs 1,000 pounds. The spiritual power in her body is also drying up little by little. In fact, even if her spiritual power hasn't dried up, she only has the gentle and non-offensive water spiritual power. She can't contend with these sword energies head-on. The only thing she can do is to dodge and block. But there is a limit to a person's physical strength and spirit. Muyin only feels that with every step she takes, it's as if she's walking through a muddy swamp, difficult and heavy. Whoosh! The sword energy cuts through her clothes. The pain goes deep into her bones, and blood flows. Her snow-white clothes are stained with blood little by little. Luo Yunxiao suddenly presses her hand on the zither, stands up from her seat, and frowns. Chi-Wen anxiously says, Mei Yin Yin, why doesn't she beg for mercy? If this goes on, she will be seriously injured. The other 6 people of the Xiao Yao school also temporarily stop frog jumping and look at Mayan worriedly. Junior sister, come out quickly. You're already strong enough. What if you really hurt yourself? Young martial uncle, Can you save Sixth Sister? We all know we were wrong. Yes. We will complete Junior Sister's punishment for her. Luo Yunxiao slightly frowns, staring at the direction of the sword array, and his left foot unconsciously takes a step forward. However, without waiting for him to move within the sword formation, a ball of scorching flames suddenly sprang up. A huge amount of spiritual power surged like a tide. What happened? Why do I feel the fluctuation of fire spiritual power? I can feel it too, and it's coming from the sword formation. There's only little Junior Sister in the sword formation, but little Junior Sister clearly has a water heaven spiritual root. Water and fire are incompatible. How could it have fire spiritual power? Luo Yunxiao slowly loosened the hand that she had unconsciously clenched, and the expression on her face returned to its usual gentle and indifferent expression. However, in those pitch-black eyes, there seemed to be a deep, bottomless ocean. On the side, Chi-Wen's mouth was agape. After a long while, she murmured, "Metal, wood, water, fire, earth, the 5 elements complement each other." It didn't finish its sentence. It closed its mouth and didn't continue. At this moment, a tremendous change had occurred in the sword formation. The 7 absolute sword in Mu Yan's hand suddenly emitted a dazzling light and instantly split into 2. One sword was blue, the other red. Blue was water, and red was fire. Fire was the attack, and water was the support. Thousands of swords came head-on. The sound of water billowed, and the fire spread. With a loud bang, the formation plate placed in the center of the sword formation shattered, and the thousands of swords dissipated without a trace. Chapter 1232. A bloody figure shakily walks out from the dust. Her long hair has long been disheveled, and there are even bloodstains on it. Her dress is even more tattered and glaring with a dark red. But the girl stands against the wind. She's like the frost of the sun and the moon, peerlessly beautiful. Mayan walks up to Luo Yunxiao step by step. The corner of her mouth hooks up, revealing an evil and wanton smile. "Young martial uncle, I'm really sorry. I've ruined another one of your sword arrays." Luo Yunxiao raises her eyebrows. Does it feel so good to be cut by 10,000 swords? It doesn't feel good? Mayan grimaces, her body swaying slightly, and her vision becomes a little blurry. But the smile on her face is even more pronounced. "But I didn't beg for mercy. Young martial uncle, you can't punish me, and the grudge between us will also be written off." Mayan's voice is getting softer and softer, and finally, she can't hold on any longer. Her vision goes black, and she falls backwards. "Ah, my Yanyan! Junior Sister! Sixth Sister!" Everyone exclaims and wants to rush up. But Luo Yunxiao's movements are faster than them. Her figure flashes, and she disappears. When everyone comes back to their senses, the girl has already fallen into his arms. With a little force, he carries her horizontally. "Young martial uncle, how is Sixth Sister? Is she okay? Quickly use a healing talisman on little sister." "Young martial uncle, I'll carry little sister. Go to heal." Luo Yunxiao frowns as she looks at the girl in her arms and says in a low voice, "She's fine. She just consumed too much spiritual power, that's all." After saying that, she doesn't wait for the 6 people to react, and just carries Mayan towards the direction of the main hall. The 6 people look at this scene and are somewhat puzzled. Doesn't young martial uncle hate physical contact with people the most? Today, he's willing to take the initiative to carry little sister back to her room. Could it be that young martial uncle has changed? Or is it that young martial uncle personally taught little sister swordsmanship, so he really treats little sister as his disciple? Seeing the scene of her master holding Mayan, Chi-Wen can't help but cry out excitedly. "Ah, the scene of master holding my Yanyan is really beautiful. This uncle also wants to hold my Yanyan. It would be good if I could get a kiss." Weep, weep, weep. Chumoli was the only one who seemed to be lost in thought. He muttered, "Little martial uncle actually carried little junior sister and slowly walked back. How do we go back if we don't walk?" Luo Yu was confused. "Third senior brother. What are you talking about?" "That's right. Third senior brother. Why are you always muttering to yourself? Chu Mo Li looked at Luo Yu and Lung Yuma with a look of concern and concern. He could not help but shake his head. Don't these idiots know that with little Marshall Uncle's cultivation, he can travel thousands of miles with a thought? Just as he was about to speak, there was a sudden whistling sound in the sky. Then, a flying boat descended from the sky. A few girls from the Fecta branch got off the flying ship while yawning. Seeing Luo Yu and the others, he immediately said, "That's right, I forgot to ask you yesterday. Do you have any spirit chefs with excellent skills? This Alcade branch doesn't even have a kitchen." If young master doesn't like it, halfway through his sentence, the man's voice abruptly stopped. What followed was a series of ear-piercing screams. Young master. It's young master Yin Xiao. I actually saw young master Yin Xiao in the flesh. Chapter 1233. Wait a minute. Who is the girl in his arms? Why is she in the young master's arms? Boo-hoo! I also want to be in the young master's arms. The group of women screamed and took out photographic talismans to record the scene. Some were jealous. In the blink of an eye, the originally quiet Alcade branch became a noisy market. However, when Luo Yunxiao turned around and shot a cold glare at him, his screams were instantly silenced. Everyone in the square, including the 6 people from the Xiaoyao sect, did not even dare to breathe loudly. Only when the door closed and Luo Yunxiao disappeared with Mu Yin did everyone let out a sigh of relief. Was the young master angry just now? I feel like my heart is going to stop beating. Yeah, even when the young master is angry, he is still so handsome and charming. Oh, right. Did you use a photographic talisman to record the young master's handsome appearance just now? Quick, let me see. This is young master Yunxiao. If this image is shown in the Tingguang ruins, who knows how many people will go crazy. The 6 people from the Xiaoyao sect looked at the crazy girls and shook their heads. They yawned and went back to sleep. They were already used to the charm of the youngest uncle master. However, why was the new tutor of the Alcade branch their youngest uncle master? Thinking that they would have to live under their youngest uncle master's tyranny in the future, the 6 felt that their future was bleak and uncertain. Boo-hoo! Isn't the youngest uncle master the busiest and the most elusive? Why did he come to the starry school to be a tutor now? Silver Feather Palace Guest House. In the warm sleeping chamber, it was as cold as winter, filled with murderous intent. The man sitting at the top lowered his eyes slightly, making it hard to see his expression. However, everyone in the chamber was shivering, so terrified that they wanted to faint immediately. However, the most terrified and panicked person was Xing Lang, who was kneeling on the ground. His clothes were not even neatly dressed, and he was still draped in that thin veil. His black hair hung loosely, and his handsome and resolute face was painted with light arched eyebrows and captivating red lips. Such an appearance could be said to be a great humiliation to the Star Wolf. But he didn't even dare to wipe off the makeup on his face or straighten his clothes. He could only prostrate on the ground and plead with a trembling voice, "Lord, please don't send this subordinate back to the Xiuxin continent. This subordinate only wants to follow by your side. Lord, no matter how you want to punish this subordinate is willing to accept it. I only ask that Lord doesn't dare to send this subordinate away." Standing on the side, Han Yi couldn't help but shake his head as he looks at Xing Lang's sorry figure. He starts to sympathize with this guy in his heart. TSK, TSK, TSK. Who do you think Star Wolf offended? Why must he offend Miss June? Moreover, he still provoked him time and time again without repentance? See, this is good, right? Li Zi's face is all gone, and she still has to bear Jun Shang's anger. Di Mingju slowly lifts his brows, his cold gaze falling on Xing Lang. It's fine if you don't want to leave this place. A smile appeared on Star Wolf's face. Then she hears Di Mingju's ice-cold and heartless words. Then you'll disappear from the polar domain forever. Jun Shang! The Star Wolf let out a heart-wrenching scream. The wound on his back opened up again, and his eyes were filled with fear and despair. Chapter 1234. The latter words, under Di Mingju's cold gaze, quivered and could no longer be said. The Star Wolf's face was ashen, on the verge of collapse. With tears in his eyes, he slowly knelt down and kowtowed to Di Mingju. However, before he could say anything, Ingmei suddenly said, "Lord, there are words on Xing Lang's chest." Star Wolf was stunned and looked down. He could only vaguely see a few runes, but he couldn't clearly see what was written. However, Xing Lang can't see it clearly, but Han Yi and Ingmei can clearly see it when they get closer. Han Yi couldn't help but laugh. Then, realizing that the atmosphere wasn't right, he hurriedly suppressed his laughter, but his shoulders were still shaking. A faint smile appeared on Ingmei's face. Miss June is Miss June. He was always able to do unexpected things. Even Di Mingju's bone-chilling eyes faintly flashed with a trace of helplessness and pampering. The somber atmosphere in the room was instantly diluted. Di Mingju indifferently says, "Since Yin Yin said to keep you, then for the time being, you will stay in the Xiojin continent." The Star Wolf suddenly opened his eyes wide, simply not daring to believe his ears. Junshang has always been callous and resolute. Once he says something, he will do it. He will never easily take back his orders. But now, Junshang but death can be avoided, but punishment cannot be avoided. Di Mingju's cold voice interrupted Star Wolf's thoughts. Xing Lang hurriedly knelt on the ground and said loudly, "As long as Lord is willing to let Xing Lang stay, Xing Lang is willing to accept any punishment." Di Mingju stood up and slowly walked in front of Star Wolf, looking down at him from above. Ben June will say it again. June Mayan is Ben June's wife, and also the future mistress of the polar domain. Whoever dares to be disrespectful to her is disrespectful to me. Star Wolf's body shuddered, his heart sinking bit by bit. He already knew that Jun Shang was captivated by that foxy woman. But she never thought that Jun Shang's infatuation with her would actually reach such an extent. She actually wants to give the position of Polar Domain's future mistress to a mortal from Yinwu continent? How could this be? The Star Wolf subconsciously raised his head and looked at the monarch he respected the most. However, in the next instant, he met a pair of cold and gloomy blue eyes. Xing Lang. The man slowly spoke in a cold voice. "This has been June's last warning to you. If you dare to disrespect mine again, from now on, there will no longer be a place for you in the polar domain." Star Wolf's body suddenly trembled, and his face instantly became as pale as paper. But in the end, he still slowly bowed down and said hoarsely, "This subordinate obeys." On the side, Han Yi sneers and shakes his head. Xing Lang, this idiot, has already told him that to Jun Shang, Miss June's existence is like his lifeblood. If you hold her in your hands, you're afraid that she'll fall. If you hold her in your mouth, you're afraid that she'll melt. Whoever dares to offend her, that's simply courting death. However, this fellow thought that he was smart and provoked him time and time again. Now he suffered a double loss. Han Yi, you will supervise the execution of his punishment. Yes, my lord. The Star Wolf shakily gets up from the ground, following Han Yi outside. Outside the door, he meets Han Ye's mocking gaze, and he can't help but grind his teeth. Han Yi, what are you laughing at? Are you proud of yourself now? Chapter 1235. Xing Lang, didn't I warn you not to underestimate Miss June? Otherwise, you would certainly pay a heavy price. This time, you've tasted the bitterness, haven't you? Xing Lang's face twists. That was just June Mayan's treacherous trickery. That's why I fell into her trap. Treacherous trickery? Han Yi rolls his eyes. Xing Lang, have you forgotten what your cultivation is, and what Miss June's behavior is? You're an immortal, yet you've been beaten into such a miserable state by Miss June, a fasting stage cultivator, and you still have the nerve to find excuses here. Xing Lang wants to quibble, but he looks at his current stupid appearance. Then he thinks about how he was subdued by June Mayan, and his face turns green and white. Han Yi can't help but laugh out loud when he sees his appearance. Xing Lang is silent for a moment. Then he grits his teeth. That woman, what did she write on my chest? Why can't I see it now? That's right, when the rune appeared just now, Xing Lang couldn't clearly see what was written because of the angle and the panic in his heart. When he wants to take a good look, he finds that the lines on his chest have already disappeared. Damn it, how did that woman do it? Han Yi puts away his smile, purses his lips, and looks at him in all seriousness. I really want to know what Miss June wrote on your chest. Xing Lang nods. He really wants to know what kind of words could actually make Jun Shang change his mind. But he doesn't think that he owes Jun Mine a favor. He just wants to know what tricks that woman is playing. Han Yi raises a finger and shakes it in front of Xing Lang. You want to know? Then beg me Han Yi, don't go too far. Xing Lang roars. Han Yi spreads out his hands indifferently. If you don't want to know, then forget it. Xing Lang's face twitches, but he finally swallows his anger and opens his mouth. Fine, I beg you to tell me. Han Yi hears Xing Lang's pleading, and the expression on his face becomes more vivid, like he's holding back his laughter, but also like he's carefree. He slowly approaches Xing Lang, sticking his head to his ear. What Miss June wrote is. Xing Lang pricks up his ears, his face tense. Han Yi smiles mischievously. What Miss June wrote is really interesting. Unfortunately, even if you beg me, I won't tell you. After saying that, he suddenly retreated a few meters away. The Star Wolf's face contorts malevolently, and he bellows at the top of his lungs. Han Yi. Han Yi picks his ears, completely ignoring his anger. What? You want to fight? Unfortunately, you're more dead than alive right now. You're no match for me. Furthermore, don't forget that I will be the one to carry out your punishment. Xing Lang tightly clenches his fists, his complexion ashen. Han Yi, don't push your luck. Do you really think that I... Then let me warn you too. The smile on Han Ye's face suddenly turns solemn, his voice ice-cold. Don't try to act one way on the surface and another way behind her back. Try in vain to move against Miss June again. Otherwise, your end will be 100 times, 1,000 times more miserable than this time. At that time, don't blame me for not considering our years of friendship. Saying that, not waiting for the Star Wolf to react, Han Yi turns around and leaves. Chapter 1236. Han Yi stops and slowly turns around, the corners of his mouth hooking up into a shallow arc. No, nothing at all. It's only because she is Jun Mayan, a woman who, as long as you don't have any prejudices and get along with her day and night, would unreasonably be subdued by her. In this world, the one and only Miss Jun Mayan. Xing Lang stares blankly, unable to come back to his senses for a while. There are millions and millions of female immortals with outstanding talents and devastatingly beautiful appearances in the Xiaoxin continent. Even if Jun Mayan's color is like a peach, incomparably elegant, it's not like no one in the Xiaoxin continent can compare to her. But Xing Lang has never seen Han Yi give such an evaluation to any female immortal. That's just a mortal from the barren world. Is Han Yi crazy? Xing Lang is about to question him. Suddenly, a terrible murderous aura fills the air from the hall that the two people had just left. Then, there's a loud bang, the hall collapses, and a hurricane whistles. Han Yi and Xing Lang are simultaneously startled and promptly circulate their spiritual power to resist. With great difficulty, they block the dust and sand, only to see a black shadow flying over from the direction of the collapsed hall like lightning. It's Ying Mei. One of the reasons why Ying Mei is called Ying Mei is that she's like a ghost, shapeless and shadowless. But at this time, Ying Mei's movements are flustered, her whole person even cutting a bit of a sorry figure. Han Yi promptly steps forward, catching her in midair. Ying Mei, are you all right? What happened in the end? Xing Lang anxiously says. How could the hall collapse? What about Jun Shang? Is Jun Shang all right? Ying Mei's complexion is a bit pale, and she absent-mindedly shakes her head. The hall was destroyed by Jun Shang. Han Yi and Ying Mei aren't surprised by this answer. The murderous aura that was just emitted from the hall was bone-chilling, simply without a trace of divine power or spiritual energy, making them unable to withstand it. In this Xiaoxin continent, who else but Jun Shang could do this? Han Yi gulps. What happened in the end? Why did Jun Shang get so angry? What about Junshang? Ingmei's expression is a bit worried. Junshang just received a care talisman and flew into a terrible rage after reading it. Then, the hall collapsed and the murderous aura surged, but Di Mingju has already disappeared. Disappeared? Where will Junshang go? Han Yi wipes his face. I'm guessing he should be looking for Miss June. In this world, aside from Miss June, there is no second person who can make Junshang lose his composure like this. However, when Miss June escaped from the guest house, Junshang wasn't that angry. What the hell happened this time to actually make Junshang so furious? Mu Yin awakens from her dream with a start covered in cold sweat. Junior sister, are you all right? Lung Yuma nervously went in front of Mu Yin and wiped the sweat off her forehead. Mu Yin shook her head. I think I had a nightmare. Nightmare? What nightmare? Could he have been taught a lesson by little martial uncle again? Thinking of this possibility, Lung Yuma shivered. Mu Yin touches her nose. I can't remember it clearly. In short, it was a very scary dream. In the dream, there seems to be Di Mingju and Junior Master. Two guys who gave her headaches tormented her together. It was terrible. Seeing her frightened look, Lung Yuma comforts her repeatedly. Don't be afraid, don't be afraid. Little martial uncle is now at the school of the Emperor's Star and Starry School. Moreover, I feel that little martial uncle treats you very well, so he probably won't punish you anymore. Chapter 1237. Thinking about how she was tortured by 60 to 70 sword auras last night, how did fourth senior sister say that Uncle Master treated her well? However, although it was tough last night, it was a blessing in disguise. Mu Yin activated the spiritual power in her body and felt that her spiritual qi was twice as abundant as before. Her dantian had also expanded, and she smiled happily. She had learned perfect Anidia, so there was no difference between the first and the 9th level. There were only the beginner level of Anidia and the great Anidia completion. Mu Yin originally thought that it would take a long time for her to reach the great Anidia completion. She did not expect that because of Uncle Master's sword array, she actually broke through overnight. What made her the most ecstatic was that her moon spirit root had evolved from the original water spirit root to the fire spirit root. In other words, she now had the water and fire spirit roots. Only with the fire spirit root could one use alchemic fire and create pills above the 3rd level. How could she not be overjoyed? Little junior sister, although you were not around these few days, we helped you to ask around. After Mu Yin washed up and changed, Lung Yuma said, however, we could not find any trace of the red lotus snow domain that you described. We also asked around the other cultivators in the Alcade branch, but almost everyone has not even heard of the red lotus snow domain. Hearing Lung Yuma's words, Mu Yan's heart, which was originally excited because of her advancement, slowly sank. Her Xiao Bao always felt that he was so close to her, but why could she not find him? Mu Yin frowned, and her hands unconsciously clenched into fists. Little junior sister, is this person very important to you? Mu Yin nodded. To me, he is the most important person in the world. Lung Yuma put her arm around her shoulder and comforted. Don't worry. We can help you turn the whole Starry School upside down. I don't believe that we can't find him. Before she could finish, the door was suddenly pushed open. Sunlight shone into the room, and at the same time, the figure of a handsome man in a wheelchair slowly appeared. Junior, have you ever thought that since you already know that this person is near the Starry School, instead of looking for him, like finding a needle in a haystack, why don't you let him know of your existence and come to you on his own accord? Mu Yan's gaze abruptly shifted to her 3rd senior brother, who had just entered the room. Her breathing quickened slightly. Let him come to me on his own initiative? How? Chu Moli smiled lightly. Do you know little junior sister? The 3 great academies of the Azure Blue world, the Star Academy, and Phoenix Sky Academy respectively have 3 Ashinsio rankings that are renowned throughout the continent. Spirit Marshal is soaring heaven. Star is exquisite. Phoenix Heaven is nirvana. Mayan's eyes narrowed. Azure Cloud Proclamation? Exactly. The Azure Cloud Proclamation tests a young cultivator's natural talent. innate talent, strength, temperament, divine sense. Once there were any changes to the top 10 rankings of each academy, it would be announced to the entire academy. If you can get into the top 10 of the exquisite roll of the Starry School, everyone in the school will know about you. Mu Yan's breathing stagnates, her hands slightly clenching. Chu Moli's words seemed to have planted a seed in her heart. Indeed, if she wanted to find Xiao Bao, it would be like looking for a needle in a haystack. But what if she could let Xiao Bao see her? If she could let her name appear in every corner of the Starry School, every corner of the Azure Blue world, and even every corner of the Cultivation Continent. Chapter 1238. Even if Xiao Bao was trapped somewhere and couldn't come out, if he knew of her existence and that she was looking for him, he wouldn't be so lonely. Mu Yan bowed deeply to Chu Moli. Thank you, third brother. May I ask how I can climb the Qingyan ranking? On the west side of Starry School, adjacent to Woodfern Sea, there was a tall tower that reached the clouds. It was called the Linglong Tower. No one knew when the Linglong Pagoda was built, and no one knew who built it. Everyone only knew that the Linglong Tower had existed long before Starry School was founded. Similarly, there was the Lingxiao Tower of the Spiritual Martial Arts School and the Nirvana Tower of the Fengtian School. Although the Linglong Tower had existed for almost 1,000 years, its appearance hadn't changed at all after experiencing all sorts of hardships. It was still towering and majestic. Looking at it from afar, people would feel respect. At the bottom of the Linglong Tower, countless Starry School students came and went every day. Outside the Linglong Pagoda, there was a huge jade wall with densely packed names on it. Occasionally, these names would jump and change. This jade wall was called the Linglong 100 List. In other words, only the top 100 participants of the Linglong Pagoda would appear on the jade wall. Everyone in Starry School saw the Linglong 100 List as their goal and an opportunity to make a name for themselves. However, there were thousands of students in Starry School. Those on the Linglong 100 List were all experienced and had accumulated their strength bit by bit. How could it be easy to enter the top 100? As such, the chances of the Linglong 100 List changing were extremely low. Suddenly, there was a commotion in the crowd. Ha ha ha, it's been 3 years. I've finally entered the top 100. A tall and muscular man with thick eyebrows and big eyes suddenly shouted excitedly, attracting everyone's attention. Everyone looked up and saw that the last place on the Linglong 100 List had changed from one Hongba to Qinping. He only used 3 years to enter the Linglong 100 List. He's indeed Senior Brother Chun. This result is not inferior to that of the Tianshu Institute. You should know that climbing the Linglong Pagoda does not allow you to bring any spiritual weapons or elixirs. You can only rely on your own strength and talent. Anyone who can enter the exquisite list, even the last place, is a genius. Speaking of geniuses, the most talented one is definitely Hua Xiangrong, who just entered the school this time. It only took her half a month to climb to the top 30. No wonder Hua Xiangrong is known as a rare genius in Inu Palace in 100 years. However, even though Qinping had entered the exquisite list, he was still in last place. Therefore, the crowd around the Jade Wall discussed for a while and then dispersed. Some people indignantly went back to continue cultivating. Some of them gritted their teeth and decided to try again in the Linglong Pagoda. Qinping didn't care whether the people around him were paying attention or not. He stared at his name on the Jade Wall for a long time, his heart bursting with joy. Then he waved his hand at his friends. Let's go. It's my treat today. Let's go to the Drunken Immortal restaurant and order whatever you like. Haha, from today onwards, Senior Brother Chun will be a famous person in Starry School. You have to protect us from now on. Chapter 1239. However, the others sneered at him. Junior brother, you are new here, so you don't know anything, right? The Linglong Tower is not like the other ranking lists. You might not be able to catch up with the difference of one name, even if you work hard for 2 or 3 years. As for people like Hua Xiangrong, who are talented and can climb to a high position at the beginning, they are even rarer. And the real geniuses are already on the list. Just wait and see. Even if Senior Brother Chin doesn't climb the tower anymore, He can stay on the list for at least half a year. Chunping smiled without saying anything and touched his sword tassel proudly. If it were not so difficult to climb the list, how could he have worked so hard for 3 years? As they were talking and laughing, they passed by a young man. The young man had ordinary features and a weak breath. His face was strangely blurry, making people unable to remember his face. The reason why Chunping noticed him was that the young man's skin was a little dark and yellow. But his hands were so beautiful. They were as white as jade, slender and well-proportioned, like a work of art carved from the most crystal-clear jade. Chunping couldn't help but look at the hands again. He saw the young man had walked to the registration counter in front of the Linglong Tower. "Hello, I want to climb the Linglong Tower. How can I do it?" The young man's voice was clear and pleasant. It was hard to tell whether he was a man or a woman, but it made people feel comfortable. The old man at the registration counter looked up at the young man and said casually, "Fill in your name and pay 100 crystals." The young man seemed to be stunned. "Fill in my name? I don't need to verify my identity." The old man seemed to have heard a funny joke. "Fill in your name and you will be on the Linglong list." Would anyone write down their name to become famous? All right, hurry up and tell me your name." The young man gently touched the jade token on his waist and said slowly, "Yiliangchen. My name is Yiliangchen." Seeing Chunping staring at the young man, people couldn't help but look over. When they heard the young man's question, they couldn't help but laugh out loud. He must be a newcomer. To think that he would ask such a stupid question as whether the Linglong list requires identification jade tokens. Who would use someone else's name to enter the Linglong pagoda? If they become famous, wouldn't they get no benefits at all? Yiliangchen, I have never heard of this name before. He must be a newbie. Look at that brat's immature appearance. I'm afraid he can't even pass the first floor of the Linglong pagoda. Chunping also collected his thoughts and casually waved his hand. "Don't worry about him. Let's go eat." The few of them soon arrived at the Drunken Immortal restaurant, toasting and exchanging cups, eating to their heart's content. Chunping was on cloud 9 from everyone's praises. He fantasized about how highly his teacher would regard him when he told the news tomorrow. Chunping, something's wrong." Suddenly, a figure rushed in from outside, grabbed Chunping's sleeve, and was about to drag him out. "Wu Gui, what are you doing?" "The Linglong list. The Linglong list." The person panted a few times, then finished a sentence in front of everyone's shocked eyes. "There's been a change in the Linglong list. Chunping, you've been pushed down again?" Chapter 1240. Didn't they say that changes to the Linglong list were rare? He had just made it to the top 100. How could he be pushed down? The group of people hurried to the jade wall in front of the Linglong Tower. Chunping stared fixedly at the name on the jade wall. He started counting from the 100th to the top. He had to find out who was the one who made him fall off the list. The 100th was someone he knew. He used to be the 99th on the list. The names on the list were all people he knew. Finally, Chunping saw a name at the 90th place that shocked him. Yap Liangchen? The people around Chunping could not believe it either. I remember that young man. Did he say his name was Yap Liangchen? How is that possible? That young man looks younger than 20 years old. It was his first time climbing the tower. How could he get on the list in such a short time? Climbing the Linglong Tower required more than just strength and talent. Every time one climbed to the top of the tower, they would have to kill thousands of monsters. Every time they killed a monster, they would be able to accumulate 1 point. If they did not kill enough monsters, they would not be able to accumulate enough points. No matter how talented they were, they would not be able to climb to the Linglong list. No, impossible. That must be someone with the same name. Chunping tried to convince himself with a pale face. Right at this moment, someone let out another cry of alarm. His name has gone up. Chunping looked at the list. He saw Yap Liangchen, who was at the 90th place, jump to the 85th place in the blink of an eye. How is that possible? Are our eyes playing tricks on us? Who the hell is this Yap Liangchen? Chunping and the rest of the people were shocked. However, it was not over yet. 15 minutes later, Yap Liangshan's name changed again. This time, he jumped from the 85th place to the 73rd place. Another 15 minutes later, Yap Liangshan's name changed from the 85th place to the 65th place. 62, 60, 58, 55. Chen Ping and the rest of the people were shocked at first, but they soon calmed down. When Yap Liangshan's name stopped at the 55th place, they finally let out a long sigh of relief. It seems like Yap Liangshan's talent and strength will stop at the 55th place. What do you mean by only 55th place? Someone exclaimed. Why don't you take a look at how long it took him to climb to the 55th place? Chen Ping wiped his face, his voice full of frustration. 8 hours. Damn it, it took him 3 whole years to climb to the top of the exquisite list. Even Hua Xiangrong, the genius of Inu Palace, spent 3 whole days to climb up to the list of delicacy for the first time. What about Yap Liangshan? 8 hours. It only took him 8 hours to climb up to the Linglong list. Furthermore, he was ranked 55th. Where did this monster come from? Have you really never heard of the name Yap Liangshan? Everyone looked at each other and shook their heads. Chen Ping clenched his teeth and clenched his fists. All right, then I will wait here for Yi Liangshan to come out. I will definitely ask him which branch he is from. Why have I never heard of such a genius before? Seeing how determined Chen Ping was, the others could only follow his lead. The other sighed in shock and left one after another. Chapter 1241. To the Starry School students, even if they were in the top 50 of the Linglong list, not many people would know about it. Only those who were in the top 10 of the Linglong list would be known to the whole school and become famous. Chen Ping just sat at the entrance of the Linglong Tower and stared at everyone who walked out. He had to find out who was the person who had forced him off the Linglong list. However, Chen Ping waited for the sun to set, but he still didn't see the young man's figure. At this point, he did not even know what the young man looked like. In the end, he could only leave unwillingly. However, Chen Ping did not know that when Yi Liangshan's name stopped at the 55th place, a girl wearing female clothing and a veil walked out of the Linglong Tower. A young girl wearing women's clothing and a veil walked out of the Linglong Tower and swaggered past Chen Ping. Because she had just reached the great completion of grain liberation, she could not control her strength well at the beginning and always used up too much spiritual energy. Because she had just reached the great completion of grain liberation, she could not control her strength well at the beginning and always used up too much spiritual energy. As a result, her speed of climbing the tower was much slower. Moreover, killing monsters and climbing the tower continuously for 8 hours was really boring. Tomorrow, she would make use of these monsters to train her sword techniques and fire spiritual energy. Mu Yin moved her sore neck and walked towards the place where she rented the flying boat. She did not know that there was someone waiting outside the Linglong Tower, trying to catch her. Mu Yin used the name Yi Liangshan because she knew that she had many enemies in the Starry School. If she was alone, she would not be afraid. But what if these people wanted to deal with her and ended up involving her fellow disciples of the Xiaoyao school, or even Xiaobao? Therefore, when she was registering her name, Mu Yin thought of using the name Yi Liangshan. Others might not know the special meaning of the name Yi Liangshan. However, Xiaobao, who had also read Bailey Liuyin's notes, definitely knew and remembered it. At that time, Xiaobao had just learned a few phrases from Bailey Liuyin's notes. Looking at the description of Yi Liangshan and Zhao Ritian in the notes, he even said with a straight face, "Mom, will they be struck by lightning if they act tough?" Mu Yin burst into laughter on the spot. She hugged Xiaobao and pinched his little face for a good while. "Baby, why are you so cute?" Xiaobao's little face turned red from being pinched by him. He wanted to resist, but was unwilling to. In the end, he could only bury his entire head into her chest and nuzzle her. Thinking of that warm and sweet scene at that time, Mine's nose becomes slightly sour, her hands tightly clenching into fists. Therefore, if Xiao Bao saw the name Yi Liangshan, he would know that his mother was looking for him. Xiao Bao. Mu Yin looks up at the gradually sinking sky. Xiao Bao, do you know how much Nianqin missed you? Puff. He felt a sharp pain on his forehead, as if he had been hit by something. Mu Yin suddenly came back to his senses, only to see a man dressed in white slowly walking over under the setting sun. The sunset glow seeped into the mountains and rivers, illuminating the shadows. The young man's incomparably handsome face appeared blurry and unreal under the light, but it was as if he was born with a dazzling radiance. Chapter 1242. Meeting Luo Yunxiao's cold and deep eyes, Mu Yin shudders and quickly lowers her head like a quail. I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything. Luo Yunxiao glances at her and suddenly opens his hand in front of her. In his palm, there is a piece of jade slip. Mu Yin stares blankly, but she hears Luo Yunxiao say, "The swordsmanship I gave you is relatively gentle and smooth, suitable for water spiritual power, but now that you have the fire spiritual root, you need a sharper swordsmanship." Hearing this, Mu Yin was overjoyed and quickly took the jade slip. Her divine sense sinks into it, and sure enough, there are several sets of swordsmanship related to the fire attribute and even cultivation methods. She was worried about how to cultivate the fire spiritual root. She didn't expect that junior martial uncle would be so considerate to give her a pillow when she was sleepy. "Thank you, junior martial uncle." Mu Yin smiles. "This disciple will definitely cultivate well, and won't let you, the world's #1 swordsman, lose face." Luo Yunxiao gives her a sidelong glance. "Haven't you lost enough face for me?" Mu Yin remembers the rumor that Yunxiao Gongzi is gay. She suddenly feels a little guilty and short of breath. Cough, otherwise, "Junior martial uncle, you can go find a little mistress now and bring her out to the public. Won't the rumor collapse by itself?" As soon as Mu Yin finishes speaking, she sees Luo Yunxiao staring at her. She feels a chill down her spine. "Well, junior martial uncle, if there's nothing else, I'll go back first." After saying that, she was about to slip away like a glider. Just after taking 2 steps, she hears the man's deep and magnetic voice. "Mu Yin." Mu Yin turns her head. Under the setting sun, the young man's expression is shrouded in the afterglow, and she can't see it clearly. Only his clear and pleasant voice can be heard. "Is there something troubling you?" Mu Yin is startled and subconsciously shakes her head. Luo Yunxiao seems to sigh softly. "Then don't show that kind of expression. If there's something." His voice slowly dissipates, and finally, without saying anything, he turns around and disappears. Mu Yin looks at his departing figure and can't help but smile. Junior martial uncle is actually a good person with a cold face, but a warm heart. In fact, everyone in the Xiao Yao sect, no matter if it was the martial uncles, senior brothers, senior sisters, junior brothers, or even the junior martial uncle, were all martial uncles. They were all relatives she had reunited with in this lonely cultivation continent. Each of them was good to her in their own way. It was great to be able to join the Xiaorao sect. "Bah!" She hears Qi Huang's flustered and exasperated voice. "Jun Mayan, how could you be so stupid? That pretty boy coaxed you with a few sweet words and honeyed phrases, and even your soul was hooked away by him. Don't you have any shame?" Mu Yin rolled her eyes. She jumped on the flying boat and flew to Yaoguang Branch. She sneered. "Give me a sweet word," that youngest martial uncle said. With youngest martial uncle's temperament, how could he say such sweet words? They should be thankful that he didn't come and torture them to death. 7 Brilliance was at a loss for words, but he was still stubborn. "In any case, that gigolo isn't a good person," Mayan said doubtfully. "I'm really curious. Junior martial uncle, and you don't have much interaction. Just how did he offend you? Why do you hate him so much?" It was not accurate to say that he hated her. To be more precise, Qi Huang especially liked to target youngest martial uncle. It was as if they were born to be enemies. In the space, Qi Huang frowned, and his face also revealed a confused expression. "In short, when I saw him, I felt especially loathsome. Especially that face of his." Chapter 1243. Mayan jumps down from the flying boat, and it automatically returns to its original position. As she walks towards her bedroom, She teases Chi Huang in the space. Don't tell me that you were lovers who loved to kill each other in your previous life? Predestined karma. 7 lifetimes of entanglement. Tiske iske. Could it be that my guess that youngest martial uncle likes men is actually true? Junmai. Chi Huang roars in anger. You want to die? Who has predestined karma with that pretty boy? Mayan closes the door, and her smile becomes even more brilliant. My youngest martial uncle has peerless looks, a jade tree in the wind. Could it be that he, before she can finish speaking, Chi Huang's face suddenly changes in the space, and in the blink of an eye, he withdraws all of his breath. And Mayan also feels that the atmosphere in the room is bitingly cold. It's like being in the middle of winter. However, in this bitingly cold and austere atmosphere, there's also a familiar atmosphere. It's so familiar that it seems to melt into her bones, making her long to rely on and be close. Mayan's lips move, and just as she's about to speak, her wrist suddenly feels like it's being clamped by an iron clamp, and there's a burst of burning pain. Immediately after, her whole body is heavily pushed, and she hits the wall. The man's blazing and violent breath hits her in the face, accompanied by a monstrous rage. That kind of surging killing intent and anger could make the top cultivators of the Xiojin continent tremble in fear and kneel on the ground to beg for mercy. But not only is Mayan not afraid, she instead raises her head, revealing a pitiful expression. Di Mingju, it hurts. Her voice is soft, with a softness and coquettishness that only exists in front of this man. Di Mingju's heart is filled with anger and jealousy, and it's like a punctured skin bag, leaking out more than half. In the end, the 5 fingers that are clasping Mayan's wrist loosens. Mayan takes the opportunity to break free from his grip, and before Di Mingju can react and get angry again, she raises her hand and hooks it around his neck. How did you find me so quickly? The girl's fragrant and soft breath falls on his lips, and it's like the world's most enchanting fingers, melting his heart little by little. Di Mingju strives to keep a cold face and angrily says, If Ben Jun didn't find me, wouldn't you have fled to the ends of the earth? How could that be? Mayan smiles. Didn't you already know where I was? Aren't I waiting for Jun Shangdaran to come find me? Di Mingju gnashes his teeth. You left that kind of letter and disappeared, and you still dare to say that you're waiting for Ben Jun? Only the heavens knew that when he saw that bright red letter, his heart had almost sunk into a frozen lake. So, even if he clearly knows that this is Mu Yan's prank, he still wishes that he could dismember Star Wolf's corpse into 10,000 pieces. Hearing Di Mingju's words, Mu Yan couldn't help but burst out laughing. That, is Star Wolf still alive? Hearing that Di Mingju is temporarily leaving him behind because of her staying on the Star Wolf's chest, Mu Yan smiles even more happily. She really couldn't wait to meet that unlucky fellow again. Just as she was laughing, her chin was suddenly grabbed by someone, and a strong arm appeared around her waist. With a fierce push, she was locked into a blazing embrace. In front of me, you still have the mood to think about other men. Di Mingju's voice is somewhat dangerous. It doesn't sound like his usual jealous temper, but carries a genuine possessiveness and an irrepressible ruthlessness. Chapter 1244. Mayan stares blankly, confused. What other man? Di Mingju approached her. His deep and husky voice sounded slowly. Luo Yunxiao. Cough, cough. Mayan almost choked. Di Mingju, why are you being jealous? That's my Uncle Master, okay? After I came to the cultivation continent, my cultivation and strength improved by leaps and bounds, all thanks to Uncle Master. In my heart, he's like my master. What do you mean by having another man I like? Well, I like my own master. Don't tell this kind of horror story, okay? Moreover, she didn't know if it was because she had been unlucky since the first time she met Luo Yunxiao. Later, she learned swordsmanship from Luo Yunxiao, and every time she was tortured to death. Facing Uncle Master, she was almost traumatized. Not to mention that she had Di Mingju now. She would never fall in love with someone else. Even without Di Mingju, The thought of being with Uncle Master day and night, intimately close, made her want to bang her head against the wall. Okay. However, Di Mingju's face didn't look relaxed at all. That pair of ice-blue eyes became even more serene, as if they were accumulating a storm of emotions. What if that man has designs on you? Mayan laughed. How could it be? Uncle Master is the cultivation continent's charmer. What kind of woman can't he have? Moreover, based on Uncle Master's merciless methods when he tortured her, if he had any designs or feelings for her, it would have been a miracle. Di Mingju's hand on Mayan's jaw tightened suddenly. He wanted to say that he saw the man's eyes looking at Mayan in Tianguang ruins. He wanted to show the scene recorded on the reference talisman to Mayan. He wanted to tell Mayan, the way Luo Yunxiao looked at Mayan. Perhaps it wasn't love or lust, but it was definitely not a master looking at his disciple. But in the end, Di Mingju still swallowed the words that came to his mouth. He lowered his head and kissed Mayan's lips lightly, saying hoarsely, Yin Yin, go back with me, okay? Don't stay in Starry School. Don't stay with other men. Mu Yin grabbed Di Mingju's collar and deepened the kiss. Then she said softly, Di Mingju, I told you I want to find Xiao Bao in the Starry School. Xiao Bao, I can find it for you. Di Mingju's voice is gentle but firm. Mu Yin shakes her head, I want to find it myself. Moreover, staying in Starry School is not just to look for Xiao Bao. I still have many things to learn. There were two types of courses taught in Starry School. One was a basic public course that all students could attend. In the School of the Emperor's Star, the tutors of the various schools took turns to teach the students. The content of the course was mainly the basics of the 5 elements cultivation method, alchemy, smithing, planting, picking, refining talismans, and other skills. These public classes were not only open to the inner sect students of the Starry School, but also to the outer sect students. The other type of curriculum was unique to the various branches. The instructors of each branch were in charge of teaching. In principle, only the students of the branch could attend the lectures. But occasionally, students from other branches would spend a large sum of money to buy a spot to listen in. In the past, the Alcade branch didn't have a tutor, so they could only learn the basic public courses. For the majority of the people in the cultivation continent, these courses were only the basics of the basics and were meaningless. Chapter 1245. She came from the Yinwu continent and knew nothing about most of the cultivation systems in the cultivation continent. Now that she could study systematically in the Starry School, it was naturally an opportunity that she could not ask for more. The eyes of the girl in front of him were so bright, as if carrying the boundless world. She could spread her wings and fly away at any time, leaving his side. Di Mingju panicked and tightened his grip on Mu Yan's waist. Yin Yin, what do you want to learn? I can teach you. Leave the Starry School and come back with me. In 3 years at most, I will bring you back to the cultivation continent. Then he could hold a grand wedding for Mu Yin. Let Mu Yin truly become his wife. Mu Yin frowned, but still said patiently, Di Mingju, I promise you, as long as the school is holidays, I will go to the Silver Feather Palace to find you. If you really don't like me to be close to other men, I will also stay far away from them. Okay? Di Mingju lowered his eyes, making it hard to see his expression, but the hands hanging by his side slightly clenched. Yin Yin, you would rather let Luo Yunxiao teach you than me. Is it because he is more trustworthy than me? Mu Yin took a step back and frowned deeply. This time, she was really a little angry. Di Mingju, don't be unreasonable. Youngest Uncle Master is my Uncle Master and is now a tutor of the Yaowang branch. It is natural for me to follow and learn from him. Di Mingju suddenly clasps her wrist and pulls her back. Ben Jun is your husband. It is only natural for you to stay by my side. He also did not know why. Every time he saw Mu Yin and Luo Yunxiao together, an inexplicable panic would surge in his heart. It was as if there was a terrible force in the dark that wanted to take Mu Yin away from him. However, he could not tell Mu Yin about this. Thus, Mu Yin became even angrier. Her face completely darkened, and her voice no longer had the softness, brightness, and innocence that she usually had with him. Only cold determination was left. Mingju, I hope that you are clear about one thing. Regardless of whether we become husband and wife in the future, I hope that our relationship will be completely equal, and not that I will be completely dependent on you. If you want a woman who is as weak as a dodder flower and can be completely controlled by you, then please find someone else as soon as possible. From now on, we will go our separate ways. We have nothing to do with each other anymore. In this life, she originally did not want to be tainted with emotions. But a heart that's wrapped in ice is slowly being melted by Mingju. Bit by bit, this man's shadow is branded into her soul. However, no matter how much she liked and loved this man, Junmayan is Junmayan. She would never lose herself and become a canary in a cage just because she loved someone. If she really marries Mingju one day, then she will certainly have the courage to stand side by side with this man through thick and thin. But absolutely not like a delicate dodder flower, protected behind Mingju, forever only able to rely on a man to live. After their reunion, Mingju's strong and overbearing attitude has stepped on her bottom line bit by bit. Finally, at this moment, her reason is overwhelmed by anger. As soon as she said those last words, Mu Yan's heart is filled with regret. Chapter 1246. Soon after, a fiery kiss falls down frantically. This kiss no longer has the usual gentleness and pampering, only full of brutality and madness. Mayan only feels that her lips are in unbearable pain from being ravaged, and the tip of her tongue tastes blood. That big, scalding hand roams over her body without mercy. With a ripping sound, it rips open her clothes. Bridge back to bridge, road back to road. Junmayan dream on? Mingju's voice is hoarse, almost tearing. You belong to me. In this lifetime, you can only be my Mingju's woman. Born in the same quilt, die in the same hole. If God obstructs, kill God. If Buddha obstructs, kill Buddha. Mingju. Mayan roars and suddenly pushes him away. Her crimson eyes unwaveringly stare at the man in front of her, who is as fierce and ruthless as a beast. Dispirited tears blur her vision. Mingju gasps violently. The crazed anger on his face has yet to fade, but when he sees Mayan's tears, his heart seems to be clutched by something. It hurts so much that he can't breathe. Mayan opens her mouth to speak, but he suddenly disappears. Only the tables and chairs in the room have been smashed into powder at some unknown time. The big room was empty. There was no love, no quarrel, no warmth, only cold loneliness. Mayan leans against the wall, slowly slides to the ground, and buries her face in her knees. Hey, Junmayan, are you okay? Chi Huang comes out of nowhere, and he circles around Mayan, bewildered. Are you crying? What's there to cry about? Isn't it just a stinky man? At worst, Benzun will be with you. Hey, Junmayan, don't cry. At worst, you go find a pretty boy. Benzun won't scold you. Chi Huang frantically and nervously stretches out his hand, wanting to touch Mayan's hair. But he nervously stops in the air, not knowing what to do. He is thinking about whether or not to wake up the sleeping little phoenix in the space and let her comfort Mayan. Mayan suddenly raises her head and heavily punches the wall. The girl's eyes are a little red, and her face is full of anger. But those eyes are clearly not swollen. Clearly, at most, they're only red, and she isn't crying. Chi Huang was stunned. Without waiting for him to react, he hears Mayan gnashing her teeth and saying, "Bastard Mingju, if you have the ability, then don't ever appear in front of me again." Chi Huang shivered under her ruthless, murderous intent and couldn't help but roll his eyes. I would be an idiot to worry about this woman. Migres branch. Senior brother Chun. Chen Ping snapped out of his daze and looked at his junior brother. What is it? Senior brother Chen, why are you so distracted? Don't tell me you're still upset about being kicked out of the exquisite list? Chen Ping frowned and didn't answer. His junior brother laughed and said, actually, the Linglong 100 leaderboard is just so. Unless you can enter the top 10, no one will pay attention to you. Senior Brother Chen, your strength is clear for all to see. Now that the instructor has acknowledged you and is going to assign you a new training ground, it doesn't matter if you don't make it to the exquisite list or not. Chen Ping nodded his head and said absent-mindedly, I was just thinking about Yap Liangxin. Will he be able to climb higher on the exquisite list? Chapter 1247. Yi Liangxin was not famous before this. It's already very lucky for him to be in the top 60. It's not easy to climb higher. Look at his ranking these 2 days. Hasn't he improved at all? Hearing this, Chen Ping felt that it was reasonable. He could not help but laugh at himself. He was really obsessed these 2 days. He thought that Yi Liangxin would be like Ouyang Qing back then, an unparalleled genius who entered the top 10 of the exquisite 100 leaderboard within a month. Now that he thought about it, how was that possible? If the list of delicacy was so easy to climb, it would not be so hard for him to enter the top 100. Just as he was thinking, Chen Ping saw his friend Wu Gue running towards him. Chen Ping, quick, come with me to take a look. Chen Ping was confused. Look at what? The list of delicacy, of course. Didn't you tell me to pay attention to Yi Liangxin on the list of delicacy? His ranking has changed again. Chen Ping opened his eyes wide. What? Chen Ping hurried to the jade wall in front of the Tower of Delicacy. It was early in the morning. There were not many people trying to climb the tower at this time. There were even fewer people paying attention to the list of delicacy. Chen Ping stood in front of the list of delicacy and realized that Yi Liangxin, who was originally ranked 55th, had now become 51st. Wu Gue was shocked. I thought it was already very good for him to climb to 55th. I did not expect him to climb 4 more places in just 2 days. However, I heard that the 50th place is a dividing line. The difference between 51st and 50th place is only 1 place, but the difference in points is huge. Wu Gue shook his head and said, those who are on the list of delicacy are at most elites of the Starry School. Those who are in the top 50 are geniuses. Just as Wu Gue finished speaking, the list of delicacy flashed, and the names on it changed again. Yi Liangxin, 49th. Wu Gui's voice stopped abruptly. His eyes were wide open like bells. Chen Ping could not help but exclaim, how is this possible? The sun slowly rose into the sky. There were more and more people trying to climb the tower. However, Chen Ping and Wu Gue just stood in front of the jade wall, not moving at all. Such unusual behavior naturally attracted many people's attention. Someone couldn't help but approach them and ask what they were looking at. Who knew that these 2 people didn't seem to hear the voices of others at all? 1 or 2 of them stared fixedly at the jade wall, muttering from time to time. Up again, it's already 33. Heavens, it's only been 4 hours. How can it rise so quickly? Wu Gue wiped the sweat off his face, revealing a dry smile. 30th place is also a dividing line. Apart from the true geniuses, those in the top 30 have been in the academy for at least 3 years. Before he could finish his sentence, Yi Liangxin's name jumped up on the jade wall again. 20th place. Wu Gui's mouth remained open for a long time. Chen Ping clenched his fists tightly. His voice was hoarse from his excitement. He's in the top 30. It only took him 3 days to enter the top 30 of the exquisite list. Who the hell is this Yap Liangxin? Chen Ping almost roared out these words. The surrounding Xiuzhen naturally heard it. Referring to their words, they looked at the jade wall, and their eyes widened in shock. Chapter 1248. 28th. He is only 7 places lower than Hua Xiangrong. But Hua Xiangrong is the most talented person in the new generation of Yinyu Palace. Who is this Yi Liangxin? How could he be on par with Hua Xiangrong? While they were talking, someone suddenly screamed, Up again! Up again! 25th. Gosh! It has only been a quarter of an hour. What kind of monster is this Yi Liangxin? Chen Ping's face was twitching. It is more and more difficult for others to climb up, but this Yi Liangxin is the opposite of others. It took him 8 hours to climb to the top 60. Now that he is in the top 30, it should be more and more difficult for him to climb up. How come he is getting faster and faster? After climbing to the 25th place, Lianchen's rank on the list finally stopped changing. Chun Ping felt relieved, but he kept staring at the entrance of Linglong Tower from time to time. Today, he had to catch that young man and ask him who he was. However, from noon to sunset, Chun Ping stared at the students coming and going, but he still couldn't find that ugly young man. The people who were watching the Jade Wall also left. It seems that the 25th place is Lianchen's limit. However, it is already very scary for him to climb to the 25th place. I wonder which branch Lianchen is from. These people all believe that the 25th place was the best result Lianchen could get. However, on the second day, their belief was completely broken. 21st. 21st. The Jade Wall in front of Linglong Tower was surrounded by people. The sounds of discussion rose and fell in succession everywhere. Chun Ping stared at the name on the list, his face full of shock and excitement. He was jealous of Lianchen since the beginning. Later, he was convinced by him. Yesterday, when everyone said that Lianchen's rank could not go up anymore, Chun Ping was shocked. However, he felt that it was far from the young man's limit. As he expected, Lianchen's rank increased by 4 places before noon. It was 4 places from the 25th to the 21st place. Other people might not be able to do that even after 3 to 5 years. However, Yap Liang Chen only used 1 hour. Look, the 20th place is Hua Xiangrong, the only freshman recruited by the Tianshu Institute. This Hua Xiangrong is the daughter of the Deputy Palace Master of the Silver Feather Palace, and is also the most talented person in this generation of the Silver Feather Palace. It only took her half a month to climb to the top 20 of the exquisite list. I don't know who this Lianchen is, but no matter what, he can't be compared with Hua Xiangrong. That's right. Don't look down on the fact that there's only a difference of 1 rank between 20th and 21st. It's like the difference between heaven and earth, like the difference between clouds and mud. Just wait and see. Even if Yi Liangchun can enter the top 20, he will need at least a month. Everyone disperse. I have a look at the exquisite list, and it won't change anytime soon. When Chun Ping and Wu Gui heard this, they couldn't help but silently look at the person who spoke, then silently turn back. Wu Gui faintly felt that his face was hurting. The words of these people reminded him of the prophecy he had solemnly vowed yesterday. However, the result was... Chapter 1249. At this time, the whole crowd was boiling. My God, what did I see? 18th, Yi Liangchen is 18th. How is this possible? From the 21st place to the 18th place now. Has it even been half an hour? Ha ha. Who just said that this list will not change for a month? Oh, now Hua Xiangrong is 21st. Who is this Yi Liangchen? He even pushed Hua Xiangrong down. In the cave residence of Hua Xiangrong in Tianshu Courtyard, Hua Bu's face was full of resentment. Yi Liangchen, where did he come from? How dare he steal my sister's limelight? They had just received the message from Jihe and knew that Hua Xiangrong had climbed to the 20th place on the list of delicacy with great difficulty, but now she was pushed down again. Although it was not Hua Bu who climbed to the list, because she was Hua Xiangrong's younger sister. Therefore, she was always praised and sought after in the branch. A lot of male cultivators flattered her, and female cultivators flattered her. Hua Bu was living such a happy life. Unexpectedly, a brat came out of nowhere and stole her sister's limelight. Now, the senior brothers and sisters in the branch didn't care about her, but asked everywhere about the genius Yi Liangchen. How could Hua Bu not gnash her teeth in hatred? The other people of Inu Palace were also indignant. The hot-tempered Cheng Chongshan even shouted, "If I know who that guy is, I must find him and teach him a good lesson." Hua Bu cursed with indignation for a long time, but when she turned her head, she found that Hua Xiangrong's face was full of unwillingness and disappointment, but not much emotional fluctuation. Sister, you were pushed out of the 20th place. Aren't you angry? Hua Xiangrong shook her head. This only proves that my strength is not strong enough. In the next period of time, I will do closed-door training. Ah? Why? Hua Biyue was stunned. But sister, didn't you just do closed-door training before entering the academy? Hua Xiangrong raised her head and looked at the distance, and her cheeks slowly flushed. I want to be stronger, and I want to be qualified to stand beside that person. I can't disappoint that person's expectations of me. Hua Biyue was stunned. That person? Sister, are you talking about the honored guest that father mentioned? Her eyes lit up with excitement and jealousy. I heard that the guest's identity is extremely noble. Sister, could it be that the guest expressed his love for you? Hearing Hua Biyue's question, Hua Xiangrong showed a rare look of a little girl on her face. His eyes were filled with friendship. Baiyu, don't talk nonsense. The Celestial Emperor didn't say anything, but I understand his intentions. Hua Xiangrong recalled that day under the moonlight. The man who was as handsome and noble as a deity spoke to her without any pretense. However, she didn't think that it was the emperor's dislike and rejection of her. Instead, those harsh words and cold attitude were all to encourage her to cultivate properly, just so that one day she could stand beside him. If that wasn't the case, why would the emperor specially order his subordinates to send him a silk handkerchief and invite him to meet in the middle of the night? Hua Xiangrong took out the silk handkerchief from her bosom and gently stroked it, her eyes overflowing with tenderness like water. Hua Biyue congratulated him, but there was a flash of jealousy in her eyes, although she had never met that guest. Chapter 1250. The fact that Hua Xiangrong could marry such a man, even as a concubine, made Hua Biyue crazy with jealousy. But on second thought, if the noble man became her brother-in-law, she would have a chance to seduce and get close to him. She showed a complacent look again. Which man in the world didn't have an affair? What's more, she was younger and more delicate than Hua Xiangrong. Thinking of this, Hua Biyue grabbed Hua Xiangrong's hand, with her eyes shining. Sister, closed-door training is not the priority. You must hold on to that noble man. Don't let him be seduced by other foxy men. Hua Xiangrong was stunned, slightly frowned, and shook her head, since he promised me. You won't betray me. Sister, what do you know? Hua Biyue said disapprovingly, in this world, which man doesn't like beauties? Especially when those shameless women stuck themselves to him. How many men could hold themselves back? Many women like locusts want to pounce on an excellent man like the emperor. If he is seduced by another woman one day, you will have no time to cry. The original fighting spirit on Hua Xiangrong's face was gradually covered by worry and sadness. Hua Biyue's eyes flashed a touch of complacency, but her face was full of sisterly love. But sister, don't worry. As long as you focus on your cultivation, I will help you protect my brother-in-law and prevent him from being seduced by other foxy women. Hua Xiangrong smiled shyly and rebuked. What brother-in-law? Don't talk nonsense. Hua Biyue joked with her for a while, and then got the real identity of the noble guest, and where he lived from Hua Xiangrong. Hua Biyue's breathing quickened when she found out that this esteemed guest came from the Xioshan continent and was an extremely respected person there. Her chest also uncontrollably rose and fell because of extreme excitement. Hua Xiangrong didn't notice her abnormality, grabbed her hand, and said gratefully, Biyue, thank you for helping me. Hua Biyue smiled charmingly and lowered her eyes to hide the light at the bottom of her eyes. Sister, don't be so polite to me. After all, I'm your sister. So, sister, it's only right that you share with me what you have, isn't it? On this day, the name Yi Liangchen finally stopped at the 15th place on the list of Linglong. Even though he hadn't entered the top 10 and hadn't announced it to the entire academy yet, however, there were too many people who were watching Yap climb up the leaderboard in real time. It only took a day for the news to spread throughout the academy. Even many teachers were investigating whether this Yap Liangchen was a student of their academy or not. In the Alcade branch, after hearing the news from the students who came to clean the place, the 6 members of the Xiao Yao sect looked at each other, speechless. Isn't Junior Sister a little too tough? It only took her 3 days. 3 days! She actually climbed to the 15th place on the list of delicacy. Luo Yu sighed and said, You guys didn't hear it. Those people who came to clean up usually talked about Junior Martial Uncle. But these 2 days, there were actually people who mentioned Yi Lianshan from time to time, and even called him Young Master Yi. When a few of the young ladies talked about it, their faces were full of shyness. It was obvious that they were in love. The 6 of them looked at each other again. Chapter 1251. I've also attempted to climb the Linglong Pagoda. If it were me, it wouldn't be a problem for me to climb the Linglong 100 list in 3 days. However, if he wanted to enter the top 50, he would need at least half a month. As for the top 20, it was not a problem of time. But Junior Sister only used 3 days. Chu Moli slowly added, moreover, her main occupations are musician, doctor, and talisman refiner. She trains in a support-type skill. What kind of support skill is this? Was there such a cruel musician, doctor, and talisman master in the world? Ahem. Yun Ruhan coughed lightly and frowned slightly. But I keep feeling that Junior Sister hasn't been in a good mood recently. Usually, when Little Martial Uncle asked her to enter the sword array, she was also unwilling. But these few days, Little Uncle Master didn't let her enter the sword formation, but she took the initiative to enter. Moreover, she seemed to be resisting the sword aura in the sword formation. It was truly terrifying. It was as if he was venting his anger on something. Luo, you said softly. I also feel that the aura around 6 Senior Sister is especially scary recently, as if she's about to explode. I guess 6 Senior Sister went to the Linglong Pagoda every day to vent her anger. Lung Yuma put her hands on her hips, pointed at all of them, and said fiercely, "You better tell me honestly, who provoked little Junior Sister? Now obediently apologize. Otherwise, I'll beat you up until you can't take care of yourselves." Luo Yu shrunk her neck. "Anyway, it's not me. It's definitely not me." Qingjiu shook her head like a rattle drum. No. Little Junior Sister is very, very good. Not provoking." Ling Yuxing frowned slightly. Could it be that Ouyang Mingzhu and the others secretly provoked Junior Sister? That's not right. I heard that Ouyang Mingzhu was injured some time ago and is currently recuperating in seclusion. The gazes of the 7 people simultaneously looked towards Chu Moli. It was rare for Chu Moli to feel gloomy. "Why are you all looking at me? Haven't you thought about who's most likely to provoke Junior Sister?" After being asked this question, a person floated into everyone's mind. Little Martial Uncle. Could it be that Little Martial Uncle punished Little Junior Sister too harshly? Was that why he had angered Junior Sister? But when he remembered that this was a grudge between Little Martial Uncle and Little Martial Sister, the 6 of them were completely terrified. Ahem, why don't we mention it to Junior Martial Uncle and ask him not to be so harsh on Junior Sister? What if Junior Sister runs away in anger? Or we can tell Little Junior Sister to give in to Little Martial Uncle. Actually, Little Martial Uncle dotes on Little Junior Sister the most. If Little Junior Sister acts coquettishly, maybe Little Martial Uncle will agree to everything. Ahem, the problem is, who is going to do it? The 6 of them looked at each other in silence. Who's going to say what? Right at this moment, a clear and pleasant voice came from behind. "Junior Sister, 6 sisters." Everyone turned around and saw a handsome young man standing not too far away. Luo Yu hurriedly went forward and circled around her. 6 Senior Sister, your disguise skills are getting better and better. I can hardly recognize you standing in front of me like this. No wonder those people couldn't find you even if they turned the Starry School upside down. Mu Yen smiles faintly and doesn't respond. Every time she went to the Linglong Pagoda, she would change her outfit. Sometimes it was men's clothing, sometimes it was women's clothing. Chapter 1252. In this way, it would be strange if the people guarding outside the Linglong Tower could find her. Luo Yu smiled and asked, 6 Sister, who taught you the disguise technique? It's fun, I want to learn it too. However, as soon as he asked this, Mayan's face darkened. The disguise technique was taught to her by Ying Mei in the Yinwu continent. At that time, she had only learned a little, but it was enough to deceive people who were not familiar with her. However, when she thought of May, she thought of a certain bastard man. It's been 3 days since the two quarreled. There's not even a trace of Ming-ju. It's as if he really wants to go back to his own bridge, go back to his own road, have nothing to do with one another. Mayan gritted her teeth in anger. These days, she constantly immersed herself in the sword matrix and the Linglong Tower. Every moment, she let herself be in a battle, in a place to vent. In this way, she wouldn't have the energy to think about Ming-ju, to think about that quarrel. But in the dead of the night, when she couldn't sleep, she couldn't help but feel sour and painful. Could it be that her relationship with Ming-ju had really come to an end? She even thought of going to the Silver Feather Palace guest house, putting down her pride and lowering her head. But in the end, she still endured it. Mine was Mayan. She could compromise for Ming-ju, could spoil and tolerate his domineering possessiveness. But she would never give up her bottom line for love and be locked in a cage made of gold forever. Six sister, what's wrong? Why do you look so pale? Luo, you saw that her face was turning pale bit by bit, and she was so anxious that her tone changed. Did I ask something wrong? Six sister, don't scare me. The others also gathered around. Little junior sister, what happened in the past few days? Did someone bully you? Tell us. We'll get justice for you. Even if Uncle Master bullied you, as long as you say it, we'll go and argue with him. Listening to the voices of her brothers around her, the paleness on Mayan's face faded away, and she slowly revealed a weak smile. She opened her mouth, wanting to speak. Suddenly, beep, beep, beep. An ear-piercing alarm rang out from each and every one of them. The 7 of them were stunned. They all took out their Starry School identity tokens from their robes or space. The originally cold and dim jade token was now flashing with a dazzling red light. The beeping sound was coming from the jade token. Then, a line of words appeared on the jade token. All Starry School students, gather at the Tai Square of the School of the Emperor's Star. Those who fail to arrive within 2 hours will be severely punished. The 7 of them looked at each other and saw the confusion on each other's faces. They had been in the Starry School for so long, but they had never seen the school make such an urgent announcement. What had happened? In the Tai Square of the School of the Emperor's Star, at this moment, a large number of students had gathered. When Mu Yin and the others looked down from the flying boat, they looked at the dense crowd below and were extremely amazed. It was also at this moment that they realized how large the Starry School was. The Tai Square, which usually looked inconspicuous and did not occupy a large area, also revealed its true appearance. Chapter 1253. It was as if the Tai Square would not be filled even if there were twice as many people in the square. Mine had heard people mention that Tai Square was not a real square. It was transformed from a Summer mustard artifact and was one of the most valuable treasures of Starry School. The flying boat landed slowly, and Mayan's group of 7 found a corner to stand casually. But their arrival still attracted many people's attention. Are they the 7 talents of Yawang Branch? They're so lucky to receive Sir Yun Zhao's guidance. Look at their clothes. They look like country bumpkins from a small, remote sect. It's really unfair for Sir Yun Zhao to teach these bumpkins. But I think they look good, especially the girl walking at the back. That should be the rumored most outstanding support musician, Jun Mayan, right? It's a pity that she went to Yawang Branch. Otherwise, if she could form a team and assist us during the school competition, we'd definitely be able to go further. She's Jun Mayan. Yeah, she's really beautiful. It's not an exaggeration to say that she's devastatingly beautiful. No wonder there are rumors in the school these days that Sir Yun Zhao is intimate with her and would go to Yawang Branch, that desolate place. It's all because of her. As soon as this was said, many female cultivators present exploded. Are you kidding? Why would Sir Yun Zhao like such a foxy girl? She must have used some dirty tricks to seduce Sir. What support musician? She's just a weakling who can't even trust a chicken. Sir Yun Zhao is so powerful. Why would he like such a girl? Didn't they say that Sir Yun Xiao likes men? When Mayan's group walked into the crowd, she felt that the surrounding people were looking at her unkindly. There was even a girl who walked over and bumped into her. When Mayan looked over, the girl's face was full of righteousness and anger. What are you looking at? I'm warning you, this is Starry School. It's not a brothel. Try seducing people here. Before the woman could finish her sentence, Lung Yuma had already rushed forward and beat her up. The woman's face was bruised and swollen, and her mouth and nose were bleeding. She lay on the ground for a long time, unable to get up. The people from the Xiao Yao sect slowly walked up to the woman and clenched their fists, making cracking sounds. His gaze swept across the terrified crowd. Who else is blind enough to want to provoke our junior sister? Come out now. It just so happens that we've been idle for a while now. We really want to exercise. Only then did everyone remember. The 7 people from the Alcade branch were from the same sect, the Xiaoyao school. And these 7 people from small sects that he had never heard of had defeated instructor Qi Ming, who was known as the strongest among Golden Core cultivators in the freshman assessment. June Mayan is a beautiful and delicate girl. She was just an auxiliary musician who had no ability to attack or defend herself. But her fellow disciples weren't. Furthermore, these 7 people had originally been chosen by the various branches. But in the end, they all chose the Alcade branch, which was like a ghost town that was uninhabited. It was enough to show how deep the relationship between them was. Chapter 1254. With that in mind, most of the people stopped in their tracks. But there were also people who stared at Mayan angrily, lowering their voices and whispering with jealousy. What is this? Isn't she just relying on her beauty to make men obey and protect her? Do you think I've never seen a musician? No matter how powerful a musician is, that's all there is to them. Otherwise, there would be a few clans with musicians in the world. Just watch. There will be a time when she is alone. When there is no one to protect her, I must teach her a lesson. These whispers entered Mayan's ears without missing a single word. She lowered her eyes slightly, and her beautiful face became even more slender and pale. But the corner of her mouth slowly curled up into a devilish smile. Teach her a lesson in secret? She was really looking forward to it. Just then, there was a sudden commotion in the crowd. Someone shouted loudly, "It's the college chief." Zhai College Chief actually came out too. Isn't he cultivating in seclusion? There is also Deputy College Chief Su, the 6 college chiefs. Oh my, all the big shots of the college are here. What happened? I remember that the last time the Ziyun Realm royal family envoy came, there was not such a big scene, right? Yes, Zhai College Chief did not even appear that day. And I remember that Zhai College Chief said that he is now at an important juncture of his cultivation. No matter how big the matter is, he should not be disturbed. What exactly happened that even Zhai College Chief came out? The people below discussed animatedly, and the buzzing sounds of discussion rose one after another. On the high platform in Tai Square, the college chief and teachers of the Starry School stood one by one. In the center was a white-haired, sage-like elder. That was the college chief of the Starry School, Diyu Dao. Diyu Dao seemed to be in a hurry. His white hair was slightly messy, and his clothes were not even neatly dressed. It was obvious that he had rushed here from his seclusion. However, there was no sadness or worry on his face because his seclusion had been interrupted. Instead, his face was glowing. In his somewhat turbid eyes, there were faint emotions of excitement and fear. Zhai College Chief raised his hand and pressed down gently. At the same time, a gentle and upright pressure was released from his body. In an instant, the chattering voices in the entire Tai Square disappeared without a trace. Everyone looked at Dean Zhai. They were waiting for him to announce something that would shock the entire academy. Even the deans and instructors of the various branches were looking at Diyu Dao with puzzled expressions. They had also been summoned at the last minute. Some of them had even been training in the mystic realm and had been summoned urgently. They were even more curious than the students. They wanted to know what had happened for Dean Zhai to mobilize so many people. College Chief Zhai cleared his throat and said in a low voice, "Today, I have gathered all the students and teachers of the Starry School here because I have an important announcement. Today, there will be a new tutor joining our Starry School." As soon as he said that, many students on Tai Square almost fell to the ground. What followed was an uproar of disbelief. "What? You gathered all of us here just because there's a new teacher?" Chapter 1255. Who the hell is this new tutor? Can he be more distinguished than Sir Yun Xiao? So what if he's distinguished? Is he as handsome as Sir Yun Xiao? Is he as capable as Sir Yun Xiao? Starry School is too much, treating a tutor of unknown origin better than Sir Yun Xiao. We protest. We strongly protest that Starry School did not treat Sir Yun Xiao with enough respect. What if Sir Yun Xiao leaves in sadness? The voices below became more and more agitated. Some people were even shouting to boycott the new tutor. The seven of them looked at each other, and their faces were filled with bewilderment. Who exactly was this new tutor? Looking at Starry School's attitude, they seemed to value him more than their Uncle Master. Cough, cough. Diyu Dao coughed softly, followed by a gentle but authoritative wave of spiritual power. Silence. Diyu Dao's dark gaze swept across everyone present. This tutor is the most distinguished guest of our Starry School. He's only here at the last minute. It's our great honor to have him here. If anyone dares to disrespect this tutor, regardless of student or tutor, they will be expelled from Starry School. Wow! This time, everyone was even more shocked. Even the tutors and college chiefs looked over. It was because Diyu Dao's words clearly showed respect for this new tutor. It was also because the punishment he mentioned was too heavy. To put it bluntly, in Starry School, even if one offended the college chief, one would not be expelled from the school directly. Damn it, who exactly was this new tutor? Just as they were thinking about this, Diyu Dao's expression suddenly changed, and he bowed. His voice was obviously agitated and trembling. "Welcome, Your Majesty." On Tai Square, a breeze suddenly blew. Everyone felt their hearts palpitate. An invisible energy field spread out in the huge space. It made everyone, including the tutors and college chiefs who had long broken through to the nascent soul realm, feel the urge to kneel down. The square was dead silent in an instant. One could even hear a pin drop. Then, in the center of the high platform, a tall figure slowly appeared. He stood alone like a tall mountain, towering like a jade mountain about to collapse. Handsome and elegant, peerless and peerless. All the words and poems could not accurately describe the man standing on the high platform. It was even to the extent that at the instant you laid eyes on him, you would forget his peerlessly handsome face and his piercingly icy blue eyes. There was only that moment when a monarch descended from the heavens. That oppressive might was deeply engraved in the depths of one's soul. Everyone held their breaths and struggled to stand up straight. Only then could they suppress their desire and instinct to kowtow. Tens of thousands of students and teachers were present. At this moment, there was only one person who had no experience, who didn't acknowledge allegiance, and who wasn't overwhelmed. There was only shock and disbelief. Mine raises her head and looks at the man standing in the middle of the platform. There's only one sentence raging in her mind. "Di Mingju, what the fuck are you doing? How could this guy be the new teacher of Starry School?" The dignified polar domain's sovereign emperor came to the cultivation mainland to be a teacher. Was his brain damaged? While she was lost in her thoughts, the man on the stage tilted his head slightly. Chapter 1256. Their eyes met. Muyin lowered her head abruptly, her heart pounding and her hands clenched involuntarily. The crowd that had been shocked to the point of being petrified suddenly came back to their senses. Someone let out a cry of surprise. "Emperor! It's Emperor!" He looks so much like the Emperor in the portrait. "What Emperor? You don't even know the Emperor who created a prosperous era in the Xiojin continent? Legend has it that ferocious beasts ran amok in the Xiojin continent, and the demons slaughtered wantonly. It was the emperor who unified the Xiojin continent with his own strength and created the four major colleges, Lingwu, Starry, Fengtian, and Longting. But after the Xiojin continent was unified, the emperor disappeared. Some said that he went through the heavenly tribulation and ascended to the Xiojin continent. Others said that the emperor was originally an immortal from the Xiojin continent. In short, from then on, there was no emperor on the Xiojin continent, and no one could surpass the emperor's achievements. Wow, there's actually such a sacred and legendary figure in the Xiojin continent. Young people nowadays are really ignorant. If the emperor wasn't legendary and great, why would 9 out of 10 books in the bookstores be about him? It was only in these 2 years that Sir Yun Zhao's reputation caught up to the emperor. But in terms of real prestige and achievements, who can compare to the emperor on the Xiojin continent? This new tutor really looks 70 to 80% similar to the portrait of the emperor that people worship. Mu Yan's mouth twitched. She had read in the bookstores that, "Emperor, I'm pregnant with your child." It could really be about Di Mingju. God, I thought that no man in the world could compare to Uncle Master in terms of looks. Luo Yu grabbed Mu Yan's hand and said excitedly, "I didn't think that there would be such a divine figure in the world." Yun Ruhan said, "This tutor's aura is really strong and terrifying. I'm afraid his strength is not inferior to Uncle Master at all. I wonder why such a powerful person would come to the Starry School to be an unknown tutor." Mu Yan touched her nose and lowered her eyes in silence. At this time, the students of the other branches have already skipped over the issue of Di Mingju's identity and begin to excitedly argue about who this new tutor belongs to. First there was Mr. Yun Xiao, and now there's this godlike figure. They've both come to our Starry School. By God, we are so happy. Young Master Yun Xiao went to the Alcade branch, that godforsaken place. It's about time for this new mentor to come to our Heavenly Jade branch. Your Heavenly Jade branch is not as good as our Fecta branch, so of course he has to come to our Fecta branch. Haha, which of your courtyards can compare to our Tianshu courtyard? Diyu Dao coughed lightly a few times as he listened to the discussion below. He raised his hand and gestured for everyone to quiet down. He briefly explained that the new tutor's surname was M.O. He didn't mention anything else, such as his name, background, or identity. However, just by looking at Dean Zhai's respectful attitude towards him and Vice Dean Su's serious expression of awe, everyone knew that Teacher Mo's status was extremely high. After the introduction, Dean Zhai turns to look at Di Mingju, his face full of fear and expectation. Sir, would you like to stay in the school of the Emperor Star or go to another school?" Chapter 1257. Thinking of who was standing in front of him, Diyu Dao was so excited that he could not control himself. Diyu Dao was so excited that he couldn't control himself. He wanted to kneel down and kowtow. However, he had been warned not to reveal the Emperor's identity, so he could only restrain himself. He still couldn't believe that the legendary Emperor would return to the cultivation continent. What was even more unbelievable was that the Emperor would choose to stay in Starry School and be a tutor. Heavens, how did the Starry School manage to cultivate so much good fortune? Di Mingju did not answer Diyu Dao. Instead, he turned and looked in one direction. The students from Mizar and Alioth branches, who were standing beside Yaoguang branch, saw the handsome face and immediately blushed, almost fainting from excitement. Is Tutor Mo looking at us? Is he coming to our Alioth branch? Nonsense. He's clearly looking in the direction of our Mizar branch. Hey, he's coming. Tutor Mo is walking in our direction. On the high platform, the tall man had already left the platform and walked forward step by step. Everyone's gaze fell on the man. There was clearly no pressure coming from him, but just by standing beside this man, one would subconsciously want to submit to him. He was like a natural king who looked down on the world, a high and mighty emperor. The students below covered their mouths and subconsciously opened up a path for him as he approached. Their gazes were all glued to him. They were nervous, paying attention to which branch he would choose to teach. The W Branch Institute had been overtaken. The Heavenly Jade Branch Academy was overtaken. The students and tutors who were not chosen, and even the dean, all wanted to beat their chests and stomp their feet. Why was Sir Yun Xiao not chosen for them? Why was this mysterious and noble tutor Mo not chosen for them too? As Diming Ju walked forward step by step, he got closer and closer to Alioth and Mizar branch. The students from the two branches all blushed, pressing their chests, so nervous that their hearts were about to jump out. Do you think Tutor Mo will choose our Alioth branch? Tutor Mo is so powerful, but he wants to come to Starry School to teach. I think he's looking for a support-type genius who can fight alongside him. If he's looking for support-type geniuses, which branch can compare to our Alioth branch? Just watch. Teacher Mo will definitely come to our Alioth branch. In the crowd, Lu Ruoxuan listened to the surrounding people's discussion. Looking at the man's naturally noble appearance, her eyes were misty with infatuation and a raging flame. After experiencing the coldness and humiliation of the mountain-breaking sect, she had already made up her mind to climb up. Clinging to the man to climb up. But in this world, not all men were qualified for her, Lu Ruoxuan. Just like Zhang Hofei, that kind of ugly, useless, and ignorant trash could at most be considered a stepping stone for her. Only outstanding people like Teacher Mo and young Master Yun Xiao could help her rise to the top. Recalling Luo Yunxiao's disregard and contempt towards her in the Tingwang ruins, Lu Ruoxuan's eyes flashed with a dark light. She had failed that time, but this time she would definitely not fail. She turned around and looked at the young girls around her. Their hearts were stirred, but they were hesitant, shy, and timid. Chapter 1258. She knew better than anyone what kind of woman a man liked, and what kind of expression a woman's heart would be moved by. How could she hook a man if she was forever hesitant and secretly moved? Thinking of this, Lu Ruoxuan's emotions stirred, her eyes overflowing with tears. She tightened the veil on her face, ensuring that the scar left by Jun Mayan would not be exposed. Pretending to be flustered, she stumbled 2 steps forward. As she stumbled, she cried out in panic, don't push me, don't push, don't. Her face was clearly panicked, but her voice was delicate and soft, as if it would melt at any moment. Then, she aimed at Di Ming Ju's embrace, looking like she couldn't stop in time, and ran straight into him. Lu Ruoxuan's thoughts were very good. She only needed to run into Di Ming Ju's embrace and hug him tightly. Let him feel the soft and plump body and fragrance of a young girl. Lu Ruoxuan did not believe that he wouldn't be moved. However, the man's broad embrace and firm arms did not appear as she expected. Lu Ruoxuan only felt pain on her body, falling straight to the ground, letting out a pained cry. She raised her head in disbelief, but found that the man's tall figure was nowhere to be seen. Di Mingju had long passed her, and also walked past the Alioth branch. How was this possible? Lu Ruoxuan's face turned green, then white. She had clearly calculated the distance and position before throwing herself at him. Who is this woman? How can she be so shameless, wanting to throw herself into Teacher Mo's arms? Why doesn't she look at herself first? Her pretentious look just now really made me want to puke. I feel that her shocked look when she fell to the ground is super funny. TSK, do the people of the Alioth branch like to do this? Trying to seduce Teacher Mo in public? Do they have no shame? Don't embarrass our starry school later. Lu Ruoxuan's eyes were filled with tears, choking out, I didn't, I just accidentally fell. Pfft, with your coquettish look just now. Who would believe you? Exactly, do you think we're all blind? No matter how Lu Ruoxuan tried to explain herself, everyone only left her with ridicule and contempt. Especially the female Xiao of the Alioth branch. They even felt that their reputation had been dragged down by her, and hated her to the core. Only a few male cultivators, who usually took care of her, came over to help her up and comforted her with soft voices. However, everyone's attention soon left Lu Ruoxuan at the back of their minds. All they wanted to know was which department the new Teacher Mo would choose. In the Mizar branch, Hua Biyue is closely staring at Di Mingju's face. They watched him walk towards the Mizar branch courtyard step by step. She suddenly let out a cry of surprise. So, so he's the benefactor that Big Sister was talking about. As soon as Hua Bus said this, the people from the Mizar branch immediately looked at her. Bayou, do you know Teacher Mo? Hua Bu's cheeks were red and her eyes were blurry. She was filled with excitement. Hearing her senior and junior sister's question, she smiled proudly and pretended to be mysterious as she said, "Just wait and see. Teacher Mo will definitely choose our Mizar branch to teach." What? Bayou, are you telling the truth? Do you know some inside story? Will Teacher Mo really come to our Mizar branch? Chapter 1259. Didn't you see how many branches Teacher Mo passed by? He didn't choose a single one and just walked straight towards us. Isn't his choice obvious? Only those shameless women from the Alioth branch would think that they could hook up with Teacher Mo with such underhanded methods. Once these words were spoken, the people from the Mizar branch courtyard were instantly overjoyed. Thinking about it this way, things were really as Huabua had said. Just then, Instructor Mo had passed by Dubby, Merak, Fekta. All of them were stronger than the young opening realm, but Instructor Mo hadn't chosen any of them. Currently, Instructor Mo was almost at the end of Tai Plaza. There were only students from his branch here. If Instructor Mo didn't choose them, who else would he choose? The students of the Mizar branch college were all beaming with joy, but they couldn't help but ask Huabua, "Bayou, how did you know that Teacher Mo would choose us?" Huabua said excitedly, "To tell you the truth, there's only one reason why Tutor Mo would come to our starry school. That's for my sister." "For Hua Xiangrong? Really? That's not right. Is Hua Xiangrong in the Tianshu courtyard from time to time? Why would he come to our Mizar branch academy to teach?" Huabua said proudly with a tinge of shyness. "That's naturally because my sister is currently in seclusion, and she asked Teacher Mo to take care of me, her only sister. That's why Teacher Mo came to our Mizar branch college." "Ah, Bayou. Then aren't we basking in the glory of you sisters? Bayou, if your sister can really marry such an immortal-like person, it will be too happy. I don't have such extravagant expectations. As long as Teacher Mo can come to our Mizar branch to teach us, I will be so happy that I can faint. Heaven knows how much I envy those 7 country bumpkins of Alcade branch for being able to receive young Master Yun Zhao's teachings." Huabua listened to everyone's flattery and adulation, and a pleased and smug smile appeared on her blushing face. Although she had thought about marrying that mysterious noble person with her sister in the future, she had never thought about it. However, she had never imagined that this person would be so outstanding and have such a heavenly disposition. To be able to marry such a person, she was willing to be his servant or concubine. On the other side, Luo Yu went over to eavesdrop on the conversation of the Mizar branch college. Turning his head back, he could not help but stick out his tongue and make a face. "I didn't expect this Teacher Mo to be here for the Silver Plume Palace's Hua Bu's sisters." Lung Yumo rolled her eyes and said, "I originally thought that he was someone like Junior Marshall Uncle, but now it seems that he isn't anything good. He actually likes that kind of woman. I think he must be blind." "Who? Junior sister? Don't you think so?" The corner of Mu Yan's mouth twitches as she glances at the man who is getting closer and closer. She retreated step by step, hiding behind eldest senior brother and second senior brother. Well, there were too many people at such an occasion, and the play was too chaotic. It was better for her to have sex with Tao Ji as soon as possible. Otherwise, she felt that she would definitely die a miserable death. Just at this moment, Di Mingju has already walked to the middle of the Mizar branch's students. The students of the Mizar branch academy were all so excited that the ground was flushed red. Their breathing was erratic, and a few of them almost fainted. But thinking of Hua Bu's words, they still made way for him. Chapter 1260. She raised her head and peeked. Up close, the man's appearance was even more flawless. That innate noble aura made him seem like a high and mighty god that people could only look up to. Hua Bu's voice, which was usually loud, became soft and sweet. Tutor Mo, I'm the Hua Bue of the Silver Feather Palace. Hua Xiangrong is my elder sister. I'm really happy that you can come to the Starry School, to our Mizar branch. I believe that my elder sister will also be very high. She didn't finish her words. The long voice in front of him suddenly disappeared like an illusion. Hua Bue's voice stopped abruptly, and she looked back hurriedly. When she saw what was happening in front of her, she suddenly opened her eyes wide in disbelief. Mayan is silently borrowing the cover of Yun Ruhan and Qinjiu, wanting to slip away. However, before she could act, a cold wind brushed her face, and her left wrist was suddenly grabbed. Then his body was pulled forward a few steps, and he fell into a wide embrace. The man's low and cold voice rang in her ear. Where do you want to go? Time seemed to stop in the whole Tai Square. Everyone stared at this scene with their mouths agape, especially Hua Bue and Lu Ruoxuan. Their faces were twisted, and they couldn't believe their eyes. Even the 6 people of the Xiaoyao school were confused, not knowing what was happening. Wait a minute. Didn't Mr. Mo come for Hua Xiangrong? Why is he holding 6th senior sister's hand? Why do I feel that Mr. Mo knows junior sister? What's their relationship? Is junior sister behaving strangely these days not because of youngest uncle, but because of Mr. Mo? Tens of thousands of eyes fell on Mu Yin and Di Mingju. Apart from shock, they were full of doubt and speculation. Mu Yin suddenly came to herself and quickly broke away from Di Mingju's hand and took a step back. At the same time, she didn't forget to give him a warning look. Di Mingju, this bastard, I want to be the center of attention. Don't drag me down, okay? Di Mingju narrowed his eyes and looked at his empty palm. A dangerous light flashed in his eyes. But soon, he controlled his emotions and said calmly, I choose to teach in the Alcade branch. As soon as he said that, the entire Tai Square fell silent again. Then, a huge uproar was set off in an instant. Why is it the Alcade branch again? I'm gonna go crazy. The Alcade branch already has young Master Yun Xiao. Why do you want to snatch Instructor Mo away as well? Boo-hoo, I regret it so much. If I had known earlier, I would have chosen the Alcade branch. I object. The Alcade branch already had young Master Yun Xiao. So what right did they have to have Teacher Mo? All the good things have been taken away by them. This is too unfair. I want to go to the Alcade branch. Dean, please let me go to the Alcade branch. I am willing to pay any price. Chapter 1261. Di Mingju brushed his sleeves and said slowly in a cold voice, Do I need to explain my choice to you? No. Your Majesty, please forgive me. Di Yudao was so scared that his knees weakened and he almost knelt down. He even forgot that he couldn't call him Your Majesty. But a thought flashed through his mind. Although he was terrified, he still didn't want to give up. Sir, you want to go to Yawang branch for this Miss June? Di Yudao looked at Mu Yin, and a kind smile appeared on his face. Qi Ming once told me that a talented auxiliary musician came to the Starry School, but was unfairly assigned to the Alcade branch. This is a dereliction of duty on the part of the Starry School. Not far away, Wei Qianming's expression changed when he heard this. He lowered his head in fear and anger. Di Yudao glanced at him casually and smiled even more gently at Mu Yin. Is Miss June old acquaintance with Your Majesty and Tutor Mo? Under the burning gazes of tens of thousands of people in the square, Mu Yin shook her head quickly and straightforwardly. No, I don't know him. Di Mingju's face darkened. Mu Yin laughed dryly and turned her head decisively, ignoring him. What a joke! The Xiaoyao school insisted on studying in Starry School in a low-profile manner to find Xiao Bao. If people in the school knew about her relationship with Di Mingju and Little Uncle, she would definitely become the public enemy of Starry School. Di Yudao didn't expect that the girl would reject such a good opportunity to get close to Di Mingju so straightforwardly. He frowned slightly, a little unhappy, but still said softly, Miss June, with your talent, Yawang branch is definitely not good enough for you. I think you should go to Tianshu branch. As he spoke, Diyu Dao secretly glanced at Di Mingju. Seeing that he didn't show any signs of anger, he was instantly relieved. His gaze towards Mu Yin became gentler. As for the transfer, you don't have to worry at all. Being assigned to Yaoguang branch was really a vile trap. It's natural for you to make adjustments now. Hearing the words, really a vile trap, Wei Tianming's face became even uglier. He had never thought that the Xiaoyao sect, which came from a remote corner of the world, would be able to associate with such a noble person. If these people really turned the tables and went to the Tianshu courtyard, wouldn't Ouyang Qing and Ling Yuxing be together day and night? All his years of planning were going to go to waste? Diyu Dao looks at Mayan eagerly. He believes that as long as Mayan is willing to go to Tianshu INST, Di Jun will definitely follow. In fact, for the sake of the Emperor, it didn't matter even if the 7 people from the Alcade branch were transferred to the Tianshu branch. However, Mu Yan's answer quickly shattered his imagination. Dean, you must be joking. I went to Alcade branch of my own free will. Moreover, I feel that Alcade branch is pretty good, and I don't want to change branches. Diyu Dao's face stiffened. He looked at Yun Ruhan and the others, unwilling to give up. Miss June, as long as you agree to go to the Tianshu courtyard, your fellow disciples can also. No need. Chu Moli interrupted Diyu Dao's words with a gentle smile. We also feel that staying in the Alcade branch is pretty good. Diyu Dao was rendered speechless, his face alternating between green and white. Chapter 1262. They really didn't know what was good for them. But because of Di Mingju's presence, he didn't dare to vent his anger. Compared to Diyu Dao's anger, the others like Wei Tianming, Lu Ruoxuan, and Hua Biyue went from being angry and jealous to gloating. The Xiaoyao sect people should have a bright future, but they went to their own death and offended the college chief. So what if Tutor Mo and Yun Xiao were powerful and prestigious? This was Starry School after all, a place controlled by college chief Zhai. Tutor Mo and Yun Xiao would leave the school one day. At that time, the 7 of them would be dead. Feeling the sympathy, pity, and disdain of the people around them, the 7 of the Xiaoyao sect did what they wanted, not taking it seriously at all. Mu Yin smiled and casually bowed to Diyu Dao. So, this school assembly is over? Since it's over, let's go back to the branch. After all, our Alcade branch is far away, and the journey will take some time. Then, without waiting for Diyu Dao's response, she turned and jumped onto the flying boat at the side. The other 6 people of the Xiaoyao sect followed suit, greeting and jumping on. Diyu Dao had never seen such rude and arrogant students. He couldn't believe it at all. But because of Di Mingju's presence, he didn't dare to act up. Who knew that when he turned around, Di Mingju's figure had already disappeared. His face that had barely maintained for half a day finally darkened completely. The main hall of the school of the Emperor's Star. Diyu Dao looked coldly at Wei Tianming, who was half kneeling on the ground, his expression ugly. Suddenly, he picked up a teapot at the side and smashed it at Wei Tianming's face. Did I say that? The Alcade branch will be sealed forever, and no one can enter? Who let you make the decision to assign students to the Alcade branch? Wei Tianming didn't even dare to dodge. His forehead was instantly smashed until it was bloody. After a long while, he said shakily, I thought that if they went to the Alcade branch, they would have no tutor, no students, and no place to eat. They would definitely not be able to endure it, and in the end, they would either kneel and beg for mercy or drop out of Starry School. But I didn't think that Yin Xiao would come to the school and choose to teach in the Alcade branch. Diyu Dao's chest heaved violently. He looked at Wei Tianming as if he wanted to tear him to pieces. Idiot, do you know what you've done? Wei Tianming met Diyu Dao's gaze and shuddered, fear surging in his heart. At this moment, he felt that Chief Zhai was really going to kill him. But in a moment of distraction, Wei Tianming discovered that the killing intent on Dean Zhai's face had disappeared without a trace, only to hear him sigh lightly. The mistake has already been made. Wei Tianming, do you know how to make up for it? Wei Tianming abruptly came back to his senses and hurriedly said respectfully, Teacher Mo and young Master Yun Zhao's statuses are extraordinary. Even if they are in the All-Cade branch, we cannot neglect them. Ti to say Ming Ming said, Xiao, Tt, he tdd said to for him Ming to dd Ming. D to him Ming, Ming Ming, JT, DJT Dao D with Ming. Chapter 1263. Back then, there was also a master who said that if the All-Cade branch rose, it would affect the Starry School's fortune. There were some places and some people that should stay in the dark corners and never show themselves. Once exposed to the sun, they must be destroyed. Wei Tianming was stunned, slowly thinking about Di Yudeo's words. Then his eyes widened, revealing an ecstatic expression. College Chief Zhai, you mean? I mean nothing. Di Yudao quickly interrupted him. Everything I'm doing is for the sake of the Starry School's fortune. Yes, yes. The All-Cade branch is such a dark and filthy place. The college chief allowing it to exist for so many years is already very lenient. How can we let it rise and hinder the Starry School's development? But Wei Tianming's expression was troubled. If Tutor Mo and Mr. Yun Xiao insist on protecting the All-Cade branch brats, how should we deal with them? Ha! Di Dao sneered, his face full of disdain. Even if Lord Mo and Mr. Yin Xiao are really interested in one of them, it will only be for a while. When the popularity dies down, can such important people like them stay in the All-Cade branch forever? At that time, do you still not know what to do? I understand. Wei Tianming nodded. Such important people have so many things to deal with. Even if the 7 people from the All-Cade branch really die, they won't pursue the matter with the Starry School. Now I'll just let those little bastards be happy. Let's see how long they can be happy. Di Yudao squinted and waved his hand. All right, you can go. For this matter, you will be fined a year's salary and 50 fiery whip. Go receive your punishment. Hearing 50 fiery whip, Wei Tianming's body trembled, fear and unwillingness in his eyes. But in the end, he still knelt down and bowed to receive his punishment. Di Yudao chuckled softly. His voice was gentle, but there was a hint of bewitchment in it as he said, the punishment this time is also to teach you a lesson. Remember, in the future, you have to understand. To cut the grass, you have to remove the roots. Wei Tianming was stunned. He raised his head to meet Di Yudeo's face, but saw that he still had a gentle and kind expression. In a daze, he felt that the sinister and vicious killing intent just now was his fault. He responded fearfully, bowed, and retreated. When he reached the door, he immediately revealed a twisted and resentful smile. The Xiaoyao School, Jun Mayan, and Ling Yuxing were all these little bastards who caused him to suffer the punishment of 50 flaming whips. Wei Tianming, would remember this grudge. One day he would get his money back with interest. After Wei Tianming left, Di Yudao quietly sat where he was. His face was hidden in the shadows, making it hard for others to see it clearly. After a while, the corners of his mouth slowly hooked up into a cold and sinister smile. He muttered, I will never allow you to see the light of day again. The flying boat flew forward quickly. Soon, the buildings of the All-Cade branch appeared in front of them. Mu Yin stared blankly in the direction of the school of the Emperor's Star. Di Mingju didn't come along. At the same time that she breathes a sigh of relief, she also feels a burst of melancholy. 6th Senior Sister, what's the relationship between you and Instructor Mo? That you're tuning into the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.